So it's very simple. Fail fast, fail forward. Don't repeat the same mistake twice. You just need to push yourself through that dip, and then a big curve comes in where it's a rise. Hey, what's up, boys and girls? Before we start the video today, I wanted to give you a little backstory. Otherwise, you all will wonder who is this guy and why should we listen to him. Now, the fact is, out of my 22 plus years of my working life, I've spent about 6.5 years starting up, building and scaling and running my own ventures in business. I mean, it's not like I've made millions of dollars with these businesses, but I've done okay. A couple of them were profitable. So one was an e-commerce venture that I sold off profitably. The other one was an operations and consulting business that we had to wind up because the funding environment at that point in time was not so good. So the money was not coming in. And then I joined another company as a CXO and I worked there for 7.5 years. And then now I'm back to my entrepreneurial gig once again. And to be honest, I'm very excited. I'm really high once again, and I'm in that zone once again. I'm really loving every day. So today I don't have any pearls of wisdom for how to make millions of dollars starting your own venture. No, that's not what this video is all about. This video is about really me sharing my honest opinions with you, my hard-learned lessons, so that you all don't have to maybe go through the same thing. And I want to tell you that, see, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But then if you do decide to take the entrepreneurial plunge, and if you are persistent and stick with it, the upsides are really high. So let's dig into it. So first, let's talk about how badly do you want this thing. Because you see, ideas are cheap. But don't get me wrong, ideas are important because that's the first step. But what really matters is application and execution. You know, everyone wants freedom, success, control over their life. But the question really is, how badly do you want it? Because entrepreneurship is hard. It's really hard. See, in your mind, it's all very simple. You'll figure out, okay, I'll get this vendor, create this product, I'll build this website or an app, I'll build a cool app, and I'll get some people to market it. But it's not that easy. When you actually get to do it, almost everything will turn out like you've not planned. So you really have to figure out a plan B immediately. You got to pivot. You got to do a million things. So you'll have sleepless nights. You'll question yourself almost every damn day. You'll fail more than you will, at least initially. So the question you got to ask yourself is that, are you ready to put in those grinding hours of work, even when nobody's watching you? Are you okay with being financially broke for a while? Will you be able to handle the mental pressure when nothing is working for you? And so if your question for all of these answers are, yes, I can do it, I'm ready for it, then you might just have it in you. Okay, now let's talk about some of the pitfalls and red zones and how you can mitigate them. Pitfall one is you can run out of money very soon. So cash flow is the king. If you don't manage your funds well, you'll be dead in months. Now, how to survive this is, you have to bootstrap and you have to be frugal. Don't spend on fancy branding. Don't spend on unnecessary office space to begin with. One thing that I have successfully done apart from these ideas is that I have worked successfully with a lot of freelancers. There are platforms like Upwork and Fiverr where you'll got a lot of freelancers. Yes, getting loyalty from freelancers and consistency is a challenge, but it's absolutely worth the effort you make over there. The quality of work the freelancers actually provide is fantastic. There are plenty of ways to save money, but these are the few ways you can start with. The third pitfall is the fear of failing publicly, and that's a big one. You see, there may be enough people around you who are cheering for you, but there will be enough people to quickly remind you that, oh, I told you so. My frank opinion is you should not care about all of these people. But to avoid such kind of a situation, you have to prepare for the worst case scenario. One way is you make sure that you have a runway for the next 6 months. Another thing that you have to get right is a solid exit plan. Make sure you plan it in a way that eventually when you have to wind up, if things don't go well, you can do it fast, cut your losses fast, and move out so that you save months of time and money. Okay, the next point I want to address is there a perfect time to start a business? Well, the short answer to that is no. There is no perfect time. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, you'll keep waiting forever. You know, people say, oh, I'll start the business when I have more time, when I have more money. Okay, let me wait for another 5 years. But remember, there is no perfect time to start a business. Yes, if you have a family who is dependent on you, maybe it makes sense to start a side hustle. But remember, side hustles have their own shortcomings. I have done side hustle, so I know. The problem with the side hustle is that it might take, maybe around 3 times more time than it usually would take if you're full blown into it. Next point is very interesting and it's one of my favorites. Before you go all in, test it. I'm going to explain this to you with a very interesting story around this, and it's a true story. So the founder of Dropbox, I don't remember his name, When he created Dropbox, obviously he did not have the funding. So what he did is he created an animation of how Dropbox would actually work and showed it to a lot of investors. Of course, he struggled initially, but then somebody bought into it and funded the venture, and that's how Dropbox became Dropbox. Similarly, there is a multi-million dollar water brand called Liquid Death. It's one of my favorite brand from a brand perspective. And the founder also did a very similar thing. He created an animated 3D version of the Liquid Death water cans, and it was one of a kind. He wanted to sell water in an aluminum can, making it look all cool and stuff. And he created this model and he test run it on social media sites, trying to create a noise around it, and he was successful. It created so much demand that he was very sure that okay, now I can launch the product. Not only he created awareness, but he also created maybe his first set of customers. So this is a very interesting idea. I'm really, really big on this. You should do this. It doesn't matter what kind of product it is. It doesn't matter if it's a service or a product. The ticket size of the product, is it a small ticket size or is it really big? If it's a financial product or a D2C product, it doesn't matter. So I highly recommend you test your product and services before you go all in. Okay, the next topic is slightly serious, but it's important. And do not be discouraged by it. I'm going to tell you very honestly. It's about failure. See, your first few ideas or your first few businesses will fail. I'm not saying that it will fail in a way that, okay, you'll have to completely wind that up. Maybe you'll have to do that. But you will probably pivot the way you're doing stuff or pivot one business into some other form. And failure is actually good. It's very natural. It's in the flow of things. What failure actually does is it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you how not to do things. Your rejections will set you up for being more resilient. So don't be discouraged by failures. And trust me, when I failed, it only pumped me up to do things in a different way and a better way. So it's very simple. Fail fast, fail forward. Don't repeat the same mistake twice. The real loser is the person who never tries. Okay, now, so who doesn't like a little variety, right? So I'm popping up in between in a different outfit, and because I want to let you know that enough of whining. Now let's talk about some of the massive upsides if you really stick through the grind and make it through. See, most people don't get to experience the massive benefits and the fruit of sticking through it, through the grind, living these tough years of entrepreneurship. There is a brilliant book. I haven't read it, but I have read, I've watched the YouTube videos. I've watched people summarizing and explaining those books. It's a book called The Dip by Seth Godin, and it beautifully explains this, the dip. The dip happens for everyone who's starting a venture, who's starting, let's say, a YouTube career or any other project or any other big task. The dip happens. The dip is where you feel like nothing is working. All the efforts that you're putting in is not showing any results. But that's a dip. You just need to push yourself through that dip, and then a big curve comes in where it's a rise, where there is a good spike. And if you go through that, the advantages are massive. And now I'll come to the last point, which is leaving a legacy. I understand the initial struggle. Let's say you were making 4 lakhs a month or 2 lakhs a month. For you to reach 2 lakhs a month or 4 lakhs a month will take some time. But once you surpass that, and when it's your own business, the potential of what you can make with entrepreneurship is massive. You can make 10 times the amount, you can make 20 times the amount. I mean, sky is the limit, right? When you compare it to the salary we're making, it stacks really, really high. And I will never discount the personal growth you make when you're in entrepreneurship. Even just 1 year of entrepreneurial journey will make you tougher, smarter. It will give you more clarity than maybe 10 years of work. I have experienced this personally because I have done about 2.5 years of entrepreneurship, and then I moved on to a job. The kind of clarity it gave me in making decisions, dealing with the team, leading, building, scaling is incomparable. That's why I urge everyone to step into entrepreneurship for at least a year or two in their life. When you step out of the house, you're bombarded with logos and brands. That's what this world is all about. Since I was a kid, I've been watching hoardings, brand logos in shops. They are nothing but businesses, right? You're building a brand. You're building a legacy for here to stay. Okay, you'll probably pass this on to your kids. Somebody else will run this after you. But remember, nobody will forget the founder of a great business. So building a brand is not easy, and once you build a brand, it's there forever. Okay, folks. So now I'm going to end this video with probably the most emotional lesson. Emotional because it's very close to my heart. Because I've been through this. What happens is that when you're grinding in the entrepreneurial world. Some days you feel like you're unstoppable, on some days you feel like you're a total failure. But in the process, what is happening is that you're burning out most of the time. And you have to put some checks and measures and systems in place, just like we do it for our work, just to make our work productive. We also have to make ourselves tough mentally and physically. You probably might have seen in my other videos too, I kind of stress on this point because I've realized how important this is. At the end of the day, if you are an important member in your family, I can't stress on how important your physical and mental health is for you and for your family. Okay, so surround yourself with a lot of like minded people, offline and online. People who are not into businesses and have not started building businesses will not understand what you're trying to say. So they're on the same page as you are, and you can figure things out between you people. Make sure that you invest in a good trainer, in a good gym. Make sure that you work out regularly, and also do some kind of training for your mindfulness. I cannot stress enough on how useful this is going to be in the long run. Not only in the short run, but also in the long run. Okay, next one. Detach from the outcomes. Focus on the process. Trust the process. Also, like I mentioned earlier, make sure that you have a fantastic exit plan also ready so that it's not stressful if you decide to wind up. Okay, friends, so summarizing, is entrepreneurship for everyone? It is definitely not. If you want security, if you want predictability, if you want a guaranteed paycheck, just stay where you are. But if you like getting into the unknown, if you like taking some kind of risks in a calculated, regulated way, but if you're willing to take the hits, if you like getting into the unknown a little bit, if you like taking a little calculated or maybe even not calculated risks, then go all in. Because I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, the biggest risk and failure is not starting it all. So all the best, and I'll see you in the other video.